hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another video. Today we'll be going through the final group stage matches of Group D of and the countries and books that partook in this group are England, France, Wales and the Netherlands. And like all the other videos, I will go through each book, sort of like what it's about, the good and the bad parts, and my opinion sort of like on the women's team at the Women's Euros 2025. And then finally will be the match analysis to see which two countries or books are progressing to the quarterfinals. So let's get dressed properly and go to England. Lionesses, yes. I adore the women's England national team so much. My favorite team in the world. I support them through every single game. I love like every single character, well, player. I just think they're just such an amazing bunch of women and inspirers, and just what they've done for women's sport in this country is just exceptional. We have the best league in the world, we have the best players, and they went and won. They secured their trophy for the next 4 years. Obviously they won in 2022 and done it again. I'm so happy. It was quite a very stressful run. Many of those games were like my heart was pitter patter, but we got through all of them. Thank you Michelle Ajimang, saviour of the nation. Chloe Kelly as well, like all of them. I love them. Lauren Hemp, my favourite player, plays for Man City, my team. Alex Greenwood, amazing defender. Leah Williamson, one of my favourite players as well. Lucy Bronze, just always going strong. Yeah, I won't name them all, but I just love them all so much. And Hannah Hampton, oh my god, I hate Chelsea, but what a goalie. And like the adversity she faced as well, and just like to be there and show that you can have difficulties but still perform at your best and inspire so many young girls is just exceptional to watch. And the book, let's talk about that. It is Assembly by Natasha Brown. This was so good. One I would so recommend, specifically I guess for October, which it is now, with Black History Month, and also I guess the political and societal turmoil in a sense that's happening within the UK. This is a great book to read surrounding those topics in a sense. It's basically following, I believe she's unnamed, like a black British woman in contemporary London, and she works at a bank, and she sort of has gone through this social mobility, and she has money. She doesn't necessarily have wealth, but she has money, and there is a clear distinction which is explored within this book. And it talks about sort of like the generations of sacrifice that for like her family had made for her to be in even a position to go to Oxbridge and climb the ladder and get a good job she has. She goes to sort of different assemblies and talks to younger women and like people, I guess, about her position and how to sort of like try and get out of the confines of the life that you're given, but she makes it clear that she only really has this because of her links to her university or the bank she works at and like different companies that she works with. Like for the plot, is basically her like thinking of getting ready to go to a party with her boyfriend who is into sort of like politics, at his family's like country estate sort of like house, and they sort of like come from wealth, and it explores sort of like the things that like his parents and his generations have put on him to like have this like you need to make an impact in life, and you sort of like be there in a sense. And then also at the party as well, and explore sort of like the ingrained racism within British society, and also classism as well explored in this. And a lot of the time how it's like she's doing so much and has done so much for herself, but it's still not enough, and she's still being undermined and thought of like not deserving things, just because she's a black woman. And that I think is just put on a plate to the reader so well. I guess it's about her trying to think, well, as the book goes along, what does she really want to continue doing, sort of like doing this job where she's earning a lot, but there's so much pressure all the time, and just not a good environment, or sort of like care about her own personal health, which is maybe it's a little bit not as clear. But that is an element of the book. For the good and the bad parts, the good part is that it does definitely put on a play and explores the sort of like casual but also less casual and the ingrained racism and classism within British and English society. And it sort of like asks the question of how can we, or she, sort of make a difference or make a change to something that is so ingrained, and how like it's just such a, it seems like such a massive thing, but it's hard to unpick because it's so connected in a sense. Also really love the way she explores this sort of like shadow of the empire, and sort of the current day treatment of people that are from sort of like the Windrush generation, sort of like getting like citizenships, and also about sort of how can we look at this history, this dark history, when different people have a different knowledge base and it's not shared, so it's difficult to sort of like move on and talk about it. I also did like the way it sort of like build up sort of like a tension of what she is going to be like do as it goes along, and it's a little bit ambiguous at the end. Sort of like all my positives, and they do make up a big part of the reading experience. For the negatives, they're not necessarily negative. I did sort of enjoy them, and well, here's the thing, like it is an enjoyable book in the sense that you get a lot from it, but some of the parts aren't necessarily enjoyable to read. But there's like parts like poetry or like memories, which I felt was a little bit confusing. Like I said, the ambiguous ending, maybe I wanted a little bit more of a rounding up, but it does leave you questioning what is she going to do, and like maybe what we can do as well. The like sort of London and office setting sort of gave me a bit of an ick. I just don't like reading books like about sort of like office settings and London. I hate London. So, but that's not really a fault of the book, it's just sort of a personal negative, I guess. And then also finally was just sort of some like brand name dropping, which is maybe a little bit, I don't know. But yeah, on the whole, would so recommend this book. And now we shall go to France. So if you can't already tell, I am British. I'm English person, but I say British. And I think there's something inbuilt within us to not like the French. I don't know, it's just like a generational thing. Well, not generational, I mean like it's passed on through generations. And yeah, I mean the French people are fine. I don't like their sports teams. The French women's national team are great. They are an amazing team. They have so much talent, so many individuals that just play such a great part and, you know, standout stars, but they never like get anything as a team, which is strange. And everyone sort of was like thinking that this was their year, and they have so many like younger talents and some of the older ones as well, new manager, and it just seemed that like they were gelling really well. And yeah, I respect them. I think they're good, but I don't like them. For the book, we had, oopsie, Not One Day by Anne Garita. She's translated by Emma Ramadan and the author as well. It's very short, but it dragged. I did not like this book. I did not like it at all, to be honest. If I could sum it up in 2 words, pretentious drivel. I just didn't jam with this at all. I think it was terrible, to be honest. It's basically the main character who is the author. It's sort of like auto-fiction. Like there's like I can't remember what the first bite's called, but it's ante-scriptium, and then after there's a postscriptium, which is like postscript, I guess. Yeah, so it's basically her, and she plans to write daily over 30 nights about a woman that she has loved or been loved by. And I guess it does do, like, it does talk about quite a lot of things in some sense, specifically about like memory and how and what do we remember, and like how it like sort of changes those memories, and like it's difficult to know like when you're thinking back like how things actually went along and stuff like that. And she says in the start that it's not chronological, because that isn't what memory is. It's like the names of like the first letter of the names of women that she loved or was loved by, basically. It also describes it sort of like attraction and like desire and attraction, how like they're sort of like different and maybe they're at odds to each other. Also there's like queerness, female sexuality, and like gender sort of discussed within the like tiny little stories, in a sense, about her memories of these women. For the good parts is that I did quite like when she done this sort of second person narrations at times, and it's sort of like, it's 3 instances that she's talking to her old self at that time when she was in the memory, in a sense. She's also talking to herself like now, writing about these accounts, and then also she's talking to the reader. And I also quite like the sort of like craft of literature and the sort of like love of books that she puts forward in the elements. For the negatives, sometimes I wrote sometimes, but later on it's quite confusing. It is just pretentious. It is so pretentious, and just using all these like big long words and run-on sentences and all this stuff just to say like not much at all. There's also this like notion of sort of like conquering straight women, like sensation, which I didn't jam with. I didn't like that. Like my notes, and in my notes when I was like reading it, I just wrote like word sputter, irritating, nonsense, very poor, as developed, like as the book goes along, it's very poor. There's also these like long bracketed sections that take you out of the main sentence, and these rambling sentences that just go on and don't really say anything, and doesn't do what she set out to do, really. Like it doesn't. She didn't really stick to her own criteria, which isn't necessarily the issue. It's more that just like it doesn't fully, all of them talk about really this love. It's just like weird memories, and just like, yeah, I don't know, I did not like this book at all. I think it's terrible. I guess like there are some redeeming qualities, and maybe if I was to take my time with it and just like go over every single like sentence multiple times to really try and get to the crux of maybe what she's trying to say, and like the intricacies of love and relationships and human condition and all that, but like on the whole, no. Now we have another costume change, because we go to Wales. Wales, Cymru. I love Wales. I love the Welsh women's national team so much. It was their debut at a major tournament, and I remember watching that the game they played to secure participation against Ireland, and I was so sad because I wanted them both to be there because I love the Irish team as well. But like just the euphoria and the emotion of them getting through and winning that game and going to their first ever major tournament was just so exceptional. Like even now, like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I'm just so proud of them. I love that team. They're not the best, no. They have good talent. It's a growing team and a growing federation. that I think, I can't remember how many years, but like not that long ago, they didn't even really have a team, and just like the strides that they've made has just been incredible. I get emotional. My grandfather was from Wales. I'm trying to learn some Cymraeg, and I just want to visit Wales and read like more Welsh books and learn about more Welsh culture, and just yeah, I absolutely love them. They didn't perform that good. I mean, they had the group of death. That's what many people called this group, with England, France, and Netherlands all in the same group with them. Very, very difficult to get through. Which they didn't, but I still think in every game they played, they showed determination and never gave up, and always had that fighting spirit to try and at least get a goal. And Jess Fishlock, the icon you are, the vanguard of Welsh women's football, got the first ever Welsh goal at women's Welsh goal at a major tournament, which was just exceptional. And the one that they got against England was really, really good. So yeah, I just absolutely love them. You may think I'm being a bit biased with because obviously there's two countries I support within this particular group in the competition, but I'm not. It's just my personal thoughts on the national teams. But yeah, for the book, the representative was Martha, Jack and Shanko by Carol Lewis, and this is translated from Welsh by Gwen Davies. This is a difficult one to review in a sense. I feel like there is so much you can say about it. Like, my notes are crazy. I think also reading a few reviews later on after finishing it have not necessarily changed my mind and my opinions, because it's based on sort of like what I personally felt, but have opened up a bit more to what the book is trying to do and say. Also, I think the foreword, which is I guess one of my positives, was very insightful, and yeah, I think that was very, very good. But definitely you read it after the book. What is this about? It's about three siblings, Martha, Jack and Shanko, and they live on an isolated farm called Graigddi in West Wales. They're all sort of unmarried and older, and they was left the farm by the mam. And there's this sort of like simmering tension, and how specifically Martha and Jack don't want to leave and give it up, because well, Jack was thinking that the mum was gonna bequeath it to him because of tradition, but so he has this like bitterness against Martha, mostly because he thinks it should have been his, even though I think Martha is older, but I'm not 100%. And they don't sort of like want to give it up, and they also have to, well, specifically Martha, she thinks about sort of protecting Shanko, because he has a stutter and he's quite slow, and it's not clear what condition he has, but likely like a learning disability, and it's sort of like noted that people say he's like not quite there. But yeah, it was written in 2004 and then translated I think in 2008, 2007, and it's sort of like set in like early 2000s, and this farm is sort of pushed back from sort of like some of the modern technologies of the day, and it's sort of like near a small town, and it's just sort of quite like isolated. It has like a pastoral sort of setting, and like this sort of like idyllic in a sense, but then when you actually read the book, it's not. But yeah, it basically follows them a year on the farm, near enough, and Martha is proposed by like a 20-year sort of on-off sort of like boyfriend, Gwethor, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, and Jack also has a new girlfriend, Judy, who's from Yorkshire, and how like they don't kind of want to leave their home to start these new lives. That's sort of a little bit about the plot, but yeah, with the also like another little note I wrote is that I don't think it's a spoiler per se, but it's sort of like a Chekhov's gun situation, which I put a question mark. I don't know if it was actually is that, but I think that was sort of prevalent, I would say, in the book. For the good and the bad, there is like symbolism, which I sort of later sort of came to understand the fact that it did have symbolism within the book about, for example, there's like a cat that lives in the farm, and every year she has kittens, but Shanko's dog Bob, I think, sort of repeatedly barks and barks at them, and sort of like makes the kittens go insane and they fall to their death. And that happens basically every year. And then as the book ends, I think she's getting ready to have another litter. And it's sort of like, that's sort of like how Martha is, in a sense, that how she's enduring sort of like pain and the same thing over and over again, but she's not taking herself out of the situation or the location. Yeah, and also the way like their lives mirror the farm life and sort of like what happens throughout the year in a way, sort of things like that. Like it's a weird one. Like when I finished it, I was like, no, I'm not gonna read it again. I was gonna like unhold it. But I think possibly I would give it a reread just to try and understand more of the intricacies. But it will be difficult given my main negative, which I'll come to after. Still on the positives, I like the sort of like isolation and claustrophobic nature that it has, although it's a little, you know, difficult to read. I do think it does come across quite well. And I did like their sparse and few and far between, but there are some moments of joy between the siblings, and in a sense they're not worth all the pain, but they are nice in a sense. Yeah. It shows the like harshness of farm life, and a big thing is sort of like how like past traumas and your memories are like keeping you in a certain place and like not allowing you to make the change that you know will be good for you. But I do feel like it is portrayed quite well. And I did like the fact that they are like Welsh speakers, and it shows sort of the difficulties in a sense of like trying to communicate in English, specifically when one of the characters has to contact an ambulance and it's like a dire situation, and she's trying to tell the names of the places and the town, where to go, and the name of the farm, but the operator doesn't understand because she doesn't understand Welsh or the way she's talking. So I think that was done quite well. Also, the sort of like the mum is quite an overbearing figure even in death, and sort of the memories of her in a sense. And yeah, in the foreword, and a main thing in the foreword I quite like is how it talks about this translating like a minor language into English, and the sort of like, I guess, given the themes of the book, I feel it is quite I don't even know what to say about that, but I just feel like I think it was quite good. And this sort of like quote about it is like a game of salvation in the author or the translator trying to translate his work. For the negatives, it is very, 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 very bleak. There is a lot of animal cruelty and animal death, and it is constant, and it is very, very difficult to read. I despise reading about animal cruelty and animal death so much. It makes me angry and sick. I guess in a sense this links to the positive of the harshness of farm life and how it is like necessary. I wouldn't say necessary because I'm a vegan. I don't think these things are needed, but I guess the animal death for this particular life is necessary, and I don't feel like all of it is like gratuitous or from a place of malice, but there are some instances of this malice parts, and that is leading on to Jack. He is a very like a bully character. I really did not like him at all. He's such a nasty person, as well as Judy, as well, his girlfriend. I think he is somewhat nuanced and you do sort of understand some of maybe the reasoning for certain things, but it still doesn't take away the fact that I didn't like him. And there's like a lack of justice, but I guess it's true as well. Also, I didn't like the fact that they all call animals it. Animals are not its. They're like persons, and you know they're not a thing. It's just something that just really grinds me so much when I read in books or anything when people call animals it. I just hate it so much. And the writing is quite plain and to the point, and doesn't really, it's not that engaging. But like, it's a very well, this book took me quite, well, it didn't take me that long, but it's because I forced myself to read it. But I could have DNF'd this at like 20 pages. Like, I kind of wish I did, but I didn't want to do that for this particular video. But yeah, in a sense I'm happy I read it. I feel like there is something I got from it, but for the most part I did not like it. But I think it's a good and a decent book and an important book, and there are definitely parts that some people can enjoy and like get a lot from it. But personally, the bleakness and the animal death just really brought it down so much, and it made it a very difficult book to read or recommend. But yeah, it's a hard one to think about. I think I could probably write like a whole essay on it in a sense, but maybe I don't care. But yeah, anyway, now on to the Netherlands. For the Dutch women's national team, I do really like them. I think they have so many great talents, specifically Kirsten Kasper. I love that woman so much. She plays for Man City, and she's just been incredible this season to start. 3 player of the matches award in a go. Vienna Miedema, amazing, and yeah, just so many talents. I really like the Dutch team. I really hated that fact that England were drawn in the same group as Netherlands and Wales, because they're like my favourite 3 teams that were competing this year. But anywho, they didn't get through, sadly, but I think they still did decently. The representative is We Had to Remove This Post by Hannah Berkowitz, and this is translated from Dutch by Emma Rout. I did not like this book. As you can probably tell, this particular group was not really a group of death, more of a group of breeze for one particular country or book. It started off fine or decent enough and intriguing sort of as it goes along, but then you're just like, what? Why? But anyway, this follows the main character Kaylee, and she's basically talking to a Mr. Stittick about the job that she had working at Hexa as a content moderator for, like, I think it's kind of alluded to that it was Facebook, but it's not explicit, I guess, until you see some of the sources where it's like Facebook, like it's very much likely Facebook, but it's never said. This man in the current time frame after she's left the Hexa has been told by like colleagues of hers that they're gonna sue the company in a way for like traumatization and possibly being threatened, but like it's sort of alluded to at the start, but you never really get anything else from that. But yeah, like about like I guess herself and her colleagues were sort of got traumatized by the content they were seeing on a day-to-day basis, and yeah, and then she's still like thinking about these rules now and like how she would view things that she sees in her normal life, as if they were tickets of if she would keep them up or not, and the reasoning why certain things wouldn't be allowed or they would be allowed. She found like some like friends at his workplace and a new girlfriend, Sigrid, and it also talks a little bit about like her past life and her life drawn working there. For the good parts, it's a decent-ish depiction of the growing traumatization of what they're seeing on a daily basis, and it does show these, like, tells you these graphic things they're seeing, which are a bit triggering at times. It also shows about sort of like workplaces and the interaction we're in, and also sort of like the rules that they had to follow of what can be allowed and what can't be allowed, and some of the inconsistencies, bringing in sort of like misogyny and sexism, but not really explored. I did quite like the short chapters. No, wait. Well, I mean, they got decently short for a book that's like 120 something pages. And I guess it does flow. Like, it's easy to read in a sense. It's just like you're not really getting any output. For the negatives, I have quite a few. This book is unfinished. It is unfinished. I don't know how the editors or publishers publish a book that is unfinished. I said some reviews, specifically Cindy with books, I think, her review on Goodreads, and she said like it was just like the author stepped away from her keyboard and setting it off, and that's basically what it feels like. Yeah, it's unfinished. Sort of like ambiguous, the ending I say, but it's unnecessary. There's also like some, like, I really didn't like the bits where like they're sort of like spouting some bigotry after what they've seen the friends that she makes, and they all sort of like laugh and like joke along. This is sort of like a quote from it, how it's like it wasn't moral commentary but flirtation with the forbidden. But like that just makes you a horrible person then. Like, why do I care? Like even like if these group of friends are from these like protected categories or marginalized groups, and like they have to like the things they see, and if it's like bigotry towards that certain group, they have to take it down, but then they're just saying the same thing later and sort of joking about it. Okay. What else? Confusing and hard to follow certain parts, like sort of like what is actually happening, especially as the book develops and towards the end. I'm just like, well, okay, she showed her a video of them doing something, like, I mean, we know what they're doing, but like what is in the video? Like what are you trying to say with it? Like what? Like, you're stupid. The plot doesn't go anywhere. It loses track. The pace, wait, does that say the pace? Oh no, the parking lot scenes, when they're like in the parking lot, they sort of like school children with like gossips and cliques and like loyalties and all this stuff. I was like, come on, you're like adults. Anyway, I think there are some good parts, but also quite a lot of negatives. Anywho, now let's go to the match analyses. So I've got my little spreadsheet and we'll go through the matches. The first one was Wales against Netherlands, and Wales got goals for characters, plot, impact, and adjustment penalty for this being unfinished. Like, it's unfinished. It's a stupid ending. Stupid. But Netherlands did get goals for writing and enjoyment. No, did I do that? I mean, yeah, because this is a very unenjoyable book, but like some of the parts are like, I mean, overall, this I think I gave a 6 on my core pile, and this got a 5.5, so just about. But anyway, it ends 4-2 to Wales. That was the only interesting match, to be honest. They all are shut in. The next one is France and England got all the goals for characters, plot, writing, enjoyment, and impact, and it also got an adjustment goal, just because like the disparity between these two books is more than 5-0. It ends 6-0 to England. This book was just so poor. Thirdly is same scoreline, all the goals and the adjustment penalty for this being unfinished to England, so it ends 6-0. You probably see a theme. We have Wales and France. Wales got all the goals, characters, plot, writing, enjoyment, impact, 5-0 to Wales. Ultimately is Netherlands and France. All the goals for Netherlands, all the categories apart from one adjustment penalty for France, and the only single goal it got in the whole tournament. Imagine France women, like the actual team, only scoring 1 goal. But yeah, this ends 5-1 to Netherlands, and you shall thank me for that win. And to round it out, the final group stage match for the whole competition, England against Wales. Shutout, I think it's called, 5-0 to England, all categories. So I think you can see how the group went along, but it finished with France with 0 points and -15 goal difference. You will not be progressing, neither will your European neighbours Netherlands, with 3 points strangely enough, how bad it was, with a -4 goal difference. But the two going through to the quarterfinals is Wales on 6 points. My opinion, that wouldn't have got 2 wins, but considering the competition, it did, and 2 goal difference. But the out and out winner, no debate necessary, is England. And this isn't me being biased, but obviously because I am English and I support the English women's national team, but this was just the clear winner. This got the full 9 points and a 17 goal difference, which is the most we've seen so far, but like as I said, it's the competition you play with. So congratulations, Wales and France, for progressing to the quarterfinals. We shall be seeing you very, very soon. For star ratings, by the way, France, or well, not one day, but Anya Garetta got 1.5 stars. We had to remove this post by Hannah Beveridge, got 2 stars. Martha Jakinchenko by Carol Lewis got 2.5 stars, and Assembly by Natasha Brown got 4.5 stars. Really hope you enjoyed today's video, and stay tuned for the quarter, semi and grand final all coming up very, very soon. I need to fill out my competition sheet and get it all ready, and go through the matches, and yeah, hope you enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe, please, and have a nice morning or night wherever you are in the world, and I shall be seeing you very, very soon.